Shalom warriors, Shalom Israel partners and Abraham friends, and welcome to Florida now. We're visiting in the United States at the moment. We have several meetings to attend to, and hopefully we'll be able to get to the studio and also do some filming for you. Anyways, I wanted to bring you a very quick report about what's happening in Israel right now. But beforehand, I want to speak about the season that we're at right now. We are in the season of the spring, the times of Passover. This is one of the most important dates in the Jewish calendar, one of the most important holidays. And there's a lot going on in Israel. But before that, I want to refer to this holiday as one of, I would say, the ultimate proofs for the existence of God, as he was promising Abraham in the book of Genesis, that he's going to take his people and bring them to Egypt, and they're going to be slaves over there for 400 years. But after that, they're going to be saved from Egypt, going back to freedom with a lot of possessions. They're going to be wealthier, richer, and actually is going to turn them from tribal society into a nation. And this promise that God given Abraham is coming into fulfillment during this very time of the Passover. And we know that the Jewish people all over the world are celebrating this holiday of freedom, this time when God nominated Moses and Aaron to be the speakers and the leaders of this segregated group of people that were slaves to the Egyptians, suffered from the wrath and the fury and the anger of the Egyptians daily. They have been slaves to the pharaohs, and eventually the Lord God of Israel, in a miraculous way, redeemed them from Egypt, saved them, sent them to freedom. Yes, throughout the desert. Yes, it took 40 years to turn them into one people, one core of believers, of people that have seen a lot of the miracles of God and eventually were qualified to go and enter into his promised land. So Jewish people throughout the world, everywhere, and of course Jesus also, as he was a Jewish rabbi, were celebrating and still celebrating this 1 week holiday of Passover, eating unleavened bread, really into a time that we are getting back to the feeling, to the sensation of these times of our forefathers that were literally turning from slaves into free men, free women, free people, turning into a nation from a very tribal society that everyone was for themselves, trying to make it day by day, and through the suffering from the hands of the Egyptians, into a people that were united together, gathered under the name of God to love the Lord God of Israel and to worship him and to go and walk into their promise. So as I said, everywhere around the Jewish world, people are celebrating a whole week now, eating the same foods that the people of Israel were eating, and celebrating the fact that we are free people. And now, on top of everything, the new modernism of Zionism, after so many years, 2,000 years, that Jews has been scattered throughout the world in the diaspora, we were in a miraculous way again, just like the prophets of old were prophesying, returned back to the land of Israel, back to Zion from four corners of the earth. And now we have a nation, we have a state, we have freedom in the land of Israel. And this freedom is very much threatened right now by the Muslims that are surrounding us. You have to remember that in the land of Israel, there's only 7.5 million Jews, while in the rest of the world, there's altogether just 13 million Jews. And we are surrounded in the Middle East, in the land of Israel, by 1.4 billion Muslims who wants to kick us out of our land. They cannot live with the fact that the Lord God of Israel is resilient, the Lord God of Israel is victorious, and he had fulfilled his words and brought his people right there to the land that was promised to them. And during this very times that we are talking right now, there is a huge attempt by a lot of the Muslim countries around us and also the Palestinians within Israel that are rioting all over the place to take possession of the Temple Mount, the same place where God has established his home. And they're trying to prevent and ban Jews from going and freely celebrating the Passover in Jerusalem. There's a lot of riots, a lot of attacks. Even yesterday, a Palestinian mob took a Molotov cocktail and threw it over Israeli police officers on top of the plaza of the Temple Mountain, while Israel is literally giving the ability to thousands and dozens of thousands of Muslims from all over the country and even the world to come and worship freely the Ramadan on the Temple Mount that is very holy for them as well. They want to prevent the Jews from celebrating in the Old City, in the Western Wall, in the streets of Jerusalem. And we are in a very tough times right now. So this holiday of freedom, is the most important time that we should all get together, stick together, Jews and Christians alike, to pray for the peace of Jerusalem, literally for the peace of Jerusalem, and also pray for freedom and for the way of God to prevail, because the devils, the enemy, the adversary is targeting these very promises of God for his people. So us as a holy congregation of people who loves Israel, who partners with Israel, we are commended and committed to be intercessors on behalf of the Lord God of Israel, on behalf of Israel, and pray for the Jews to be able to celebrate our holidays and be free to move around everywhere in the land of Israel. Also Christians that are going to be, and they are celebrating, just now celebrated their Easter, they're also targeted by the Muslims. Now there is some words of the Israeli government that they might not allow too many Christians to go to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre for the Saturday of Light. These are things that we are, for the Sunday of Light. These are things that we should target on our prayers and make sure that Israel is not going to surrender to the very bad political circumstances that we're at right now. And if you've been following us, you know exactly what I'm talking about, that this government is held hostage in the hand of a very, very extremist, radical Muslim party. And therefore, we need to pray for God to bring us the right government, the right ruler, the right prime minister who can stand against all the pressures from around the world and say to them straight to their faces, this is our land, this is God's land. We came here by the will of God and we are going to stay here forever. I love you a lot, Doobie, and pray with us.
There is a crisis in Ukraine. Our beloved Jewish Ukrainians are under attack. The Jews always come under attack first, and we, like you, love Israel and the Jewish people. Together we are committed to standing with Jews around the world. Zechariah chapter 8. This is what the Lord Almighty says. I will save my people from the countries of the east and the west. I will bring them back to live in Jerusalem. They will be my people, and I will be faithful and righteous to them as their God. Thousands of years ago, the prophet Zechariah saw the time we are living in right now, a time when Jews who had been scattered throughout the earth would be brought back to Jerusalem, miraculously, and dwell once more in the Holy Land with the Holy One of Israel. By partnering with us on this project, you are part of fulfilling ancient prophecy. Every cent donated will go directly to the Ukrainian Jews in need, and together with us, we will be the hands and feet of prophecy in action.